Hi everyone, it's day 2 of my 100-day challenge of video blogging. I'm Danielle and I really appreciate all of the support from everyone yesterday. It was really amazing and overwhelming to read all of the supportive comments rooting me on. I figured for today I can touch on a theme that is really near and dear to my heart, which is fear, anxiety, and depression. I feel that there is an epidemic in our society and culture, and it's not addressed enough. And I really believe that a big part of my purpose here is to help shine a light on these issues and talk about it and let people know that they're not alone, because when things are repressed, it causes all sorts of disease, imbalance. People turn to substances to numb. I know I certainly did. There's tendency for escapism. It causes all sorts of challenges and health problems such as high blood pressure and spinal issues. I know I personally had cervical spinal fusion on 4 levels of my neck. I was diagnosed at the age of 39 with degenerative disc disease, and I've always had TMJ, and I carry my stress all throughout my shoulders, my lower back. At the end of my career, I was suffering from adrenal fatigue, which caused brain cloudiness, and I wasn't able to concentrate, and I had extraordinary fatigue, exhausted all the time. So it's a very, very serious problem that I feel is not really being addressed enough en masse to provide proper resources or even discussion or understanding about these issues. So if anybody ever wants to talk, know that I'm definitely here to help provide some techniques that have helped me to heal and manage living with those conditions. But even before we talk about that, I think the topic of fear is what brought me to this 100-day challenge, because at a recent conference down in Nashville for the nutritional cleansing stuff that I do, there was a speaker from Venezuela. And for many of you who don't know me, during high school I spent 7 months living as an exchange student in Caracas, Venezuela. So I immediately took to this woman. She was just a shining light and really goofy and zany and unique. And she said that she took a marketing class and her professor tasked her with doing something for every day for 100 days. So she selected overcoming fear and doing something that she was afraid of. I just thought that was so wonderful, and she did some amazing things. So I encourage you to check out her site and Instagram, which is Hello Fears. But it inspired me to think about what I wanted to do every day consistently for 100 days, which put me outside of my comfort zone and which I've been afraid of and what I've been putting off due to lack of confidence. And that is, I've been wanting to do a YouTube channel and or write a book, which I still want to do. I've been threatening to do so. It's coming, but this is a good start, and you can all keep me accountable. But fear is a topic that is so fascinating, and I heard a few acronyms that really stuck with me. So fear can be considered false evidence appearing real, and it can also be addressed with face everything and rise. Because oftentimes we start ruminating and thinking so much about what could happen, what is the worst thing that can happen, that we allow ourselves to stay stuck in a situation or a setting that we know does not feel right for us. We know we're unhappy. We know that we want more, or it's not aligned with what we want to be doing anymore. However, the comfort and safety of staying where we are keeps us there, rather than being brave enough to take the risk and step outside of the comfort zone for fear of failing. But something that this woman said really struck home. She said, well, think about what's the best that can happen. What is the best scenario that can happen if you take that risk? Because you're going to move forward outside of your current circumstances, and you're going to step toward improving your life. And what if you make it? What if you actually achieve everything that you set out to? Because really the only way to fail is to quit. If you set your sights on something and you say, I want to achieve this, the only way that you can fail is if you stop doing it before you achieve it. It may take you longer. It might manifest itself in a different way than you didn't expect, but it's going to take you in the direction towards your goal. And that takes action, and it's scary. But slowly and steadily, even if you make mistakes, you're trying new things, which will open up and present a whole new set of opportunities for you that you didn't know existed, or that may not have been available to you while you were stuck. Anxiety is something that I have suffered my entire life. It's not something I even understood enough to put a word to, but I knew that I was riddled with frayed nerves, and I would get heart palpitations, and I would get really uncomfortable, and people would say, oh, you're very sensitive. Well, yes, I'm very sensitive, and that's how I am. And I don't need to apologize for it, and I don't need to feel bad about it, and nor do you. I have to honor that, and the reason why I'm sensitive is because something's not feeling right, or it's not making sense to me. I feel uncomfortable. But anxiety is often caused by too much thinking and worrying, and it's unnecessary worry about things that will likely never happen in the future. And dwelling so much on what may happen or may go wrong or might not happen, or trying to control circumstances that are completely outside of my control, that I lose sight of what's happening right now and what's in my control right now. Right now, I'm sitting on a couch in the comfort of my home. I'm talking to you. I'm safe. My kids are safe. I'm going to drive to New Jersey later to take care of some things for business. There is nothing that I need to worry about overly. I can plan for the future and make solid plans so that I'm prepared. But ruminating and worrying about things and people that are outside of my control is not anything that I need to do anymore. And I catch myself because I'm human and everybody tends to do it. But now I have the tools to at least recognize it and say, let me bring it back to now. And I could talk about some things that have helped me with that. But depression was easily explained to me because that's something I've also suffered with throughout most of my life and never talked about. I would hide that and mirror and mask that with a smile, or focus on other people rather than addressing me. But depression is often spent too much dwelling and ruminating over things that have happened in the past that you can never change. It's okay. It happened. You don't have to be proud of what you did, but you can't change what you did or what happened to you. You can only use that experience to learn from it and glean the wisdom from it and vow to never do those same mistakes again. And if it didn't make you feel good, then you don't ever have to do that again. And if something in the past harmed another person, you have the opportunity to make amends and apologize. And if something was done to you, you can forgive. You don't have to permit it. You don't have to say, okay, that's fine that it happened. But forgiveness is something that comes from within, and it releases you personally from carrying that burden any longer. And that's something I never understood. And that's not an easy thing to do. It takes a lot of practice and a lot of meditation, a lot of healing, a lot of therapy. And there are so many resources available throughout the years, especially in my later years, that have really benefited me. I used to medicate. I used to be on 100 milligrams of Zoloft every day. It was a lot. I felt like I was numb. So it took the pain, but it also took the joy, and it brought it in here. So I just was existing. So luckily I'm no longer on those medications, but I've been able to replace it with different outlets to help me manage it. And that includes journaling. I love journaling, taking a pen to paper and getting my thoughts out and onto paper. And I usually don't even read it again. I can sometimes. It's interesting to look back every now and then, but not to dwell in the past. But I love to journal. And even if it's a matter of starting and writing a few thoughts, or starting with gratitude every morning and writing down a few 3 to 5 things that you're grateful for every day, I found that it really sets my mindset focusing on what's positive in the world rather than focusing on all the things I have to do or that I'm inundated in too much worry. I meditate. I love to meditate. It's something as simple as focusing on your breathing. You can just sit with your feet firmly planted on the floor or Indian style and just closing your eyes and focusing on your breathing. 3 count in, out 6 count. Something as simple as that just helps reground you. And it's really, really simple. People are like, I don't know how to meditate. I didn't either. Simple techniques. There's plenty available online to help you get started. I took what's called MBSR, which is mindfulness-based stress reduction courses, a series of courses designed to bring you into the here and now. So if you feel yourself getting overwhelmed, you can ground yourself, and there's simple techniques to bring yourself back to the present and focus on what is in your control right now. Really, really helps manage anxiety as well as depression and stress levels. Talk therapy is amazing. I think everybody should speak to a therapist just to have a creative outlet for somebody to speak to that's unbiased and won't judge and I'll just objectively listen to you. There used to be an associated stigma with that. It's a wonderful resource. Meditation, acupuncture is beautiful. Massage is one of my favorite things in the world to do. I love hiking in nature. I love being outdoors, just breathing in fresh air. And then also Reiki was introduced to me by a massage therapist, and as soon as energy healing was used on me, I felt the difference because there's emotional and mental treatments, which it's all part of Eastern philosophy and healing modalities. But that's how I was first introduced to Reiki. And it's helped change my life and manage my stress levels and purge all that I keep inside my body and the people that we store up and then we pent up, and it helps release the cortisol levels from being so raised high because I was always in a state of fight or flight. And it's very balancing and relaxing and healing and nourishing. So I'm happy to talk about Reiki more or to schedule treatments of Reiki if anybody wants to try it. I love introducing Reiki to people because it helps people so much. And I know how much it's changed my life. As well as balanced nutrition and eating, because we are what we eat. It's all about what we feed our bodies, what we feed our minds, who we surround ourselves with. I don't watch the news anymore. I can't do it. I'm inundated too much and it's too affecting of me. Instead, I fuel my mind with positive, uplifting things. I learn from different mentors and people and leaders thought leaders who have achieved the things that I wish to achieve so that I can learn the techniques that they've been successful with. So these are all things that have helped me. But fear and anxiety is very real. It's a real epidemic, and it's something that I'm dedicated to talking about. Usually there's associations with personality and emotional disorders. If you need medication, I am certainly not one to shun it. I think whatever will help balance you. It's a matter of using Western medicine paired with all different holistic modalities and utilizing nature and trusting your intuition. oftentimes people get very misaligned if they don't follow their truth, so that they're living inauthentically. And if they are doing things that they should be doing, or that they feel they should be doing, or that they said, okay, well, now I graduated, so now I have to get a job in this field, even though they may hate it and they don't want to do it. They just feel obligated to do it. Or, oh, I'm a certain age, so therefore I must get married. Or I'm married and I'm miserable, but it's shunned to societally get divorced, which is changing. There's all different dynamics of families, and you have to do what's right for you. But the shame that's associated, there should be no shame, because people have to live their life. They have to live their truth. If you're happy and in love and respect each other and everybody's awesome and supportive, that is such a beautiful gift, and everybody aspires for that. But if you find that you are waking up and your head is heavy and you're dreading the day because you don't want to go to that job, or you don't love the person that you thought you used to, or that you used to, but things have changed, or if you just are miserable with a certain aspect, or if you dread the state of your health, it is never too late to make positive changes. And that's all within your control. And it's scary. Change is very scary, or can seem very scary. But if you break it down to manageable steps and be very strategic and organized, and you say, okay, this is the end goal that I want to achieve, and it's going to require 30 steps to get there, that's a really tall staircase to focus on. So what's the first step or two that you have to take? And break it down into manageable, bite-sized, simple steps. The key is to decide where you're going, and then to just identify the first 1 or 2 steps to take you there. And then you can address what that next step looks like. You may be energized and want to go 5 steps after that, but take the first step and don't overwhelm yourself, because eventually you'll get there at the pace which is right for you. And that takes faith. That definitely takes faith. But, fear comes from the past and saying, well, I haven't been able to do it in the past. Well, okay. Today you have a chance to start over right now. Right now, this minute, you can decide. You can say, I'm going to go for this. And Les Brown is just such an amazing motivational speaker. He has overcome so many obstacles. He was deemed retarded as a young child and basically written off as having no future. And he is one of the most successful thought leaders and speakers and motivational icons. I had the pleasure of training with him and meeting him at a few events. And he says, if you shoot for the moon, if you take an arrow and you shoot for the moon, even if you miss your mark, you're going to land amongst the stars. And it's so true. It's so true. I had my first tattoo. I don't know if you can see it. Oh, it's a bad angle. There. It's an arrow. And I look at it every day, my arrow. And people ask me, they say, well, what is the arrow? And I remember a few years ago, I woke up that morning and I had no idea I was getting a tattoo. But then something happened that set me back unexpectedly. And I called the tattoo parlor and said, can you take me? And at 11 o'clock that morning, I was sitting in a chair getting an arrow. But an arrow has a lot of significance, but you have to pull back the arrow and set your sights on where you're going in order to release it to achieve its destiny. And that includes staying the course as you overcome obstacles. And it's not easy, and you won't always hit your mark, but it's forward progress. And sometimes it requires a step back to then overcome. But you got to just take the step and have the faith and say, I'm going for it because I deserve it and I want it and I can achieve it, and I'm going to keep going until I achieve it. And that has really helped me in terms of course correcting so that I'm in alignment with my truth and really trusting my instincts and my intuition. Because for too long I was thinking with this instead of with my heart. And knowing in my solar plexus, which is your belly barometer, your gut check, when you feel that, that's your higher self saying, this is your truth. So trust that. When you feel that in your gut, don't doubt that. How many times have you doubted that and said, oh, I should have known. I knew it. I knew I shouldn't have done that. Well, that's your truth. So listen to that. Quiet your mind and trust that. And that will guide you. That is where you feel you're most natural. That's what you should be following. And all of these techniques collectively have helped me enormously. And it's a journey, and it's messy, and it's imperfect. But don't let fear paralyze you, because you will start feeling better. Once you take the steps, you will meet other people along the way that will help you. Don't be afraid to speak up. Confide in people that you trust and ask for help. There is no shame in asking for help. And people want to help you. And things will just keep getting better and better. Beyond your thoughts, beyond your wildest dreams. I certainly had no idea that I could come back to life and feel the way that I feel, with happiness. And I still struggle with depression sometimes, but then I course correct and I do all of these things. And I try to really not allow fear to keep me in a holding pattern. And I recognize it, and sometimes I'll allow it for a little pity party, and then I say, all right, time to pull on the boots, get to work. We're gonna start fresh again today, because right now is the moment that I have to start fresh. And you have that moment too. So right now, decide what you wanna do without fear being a concern, because it's false evidence appearing real. And I encourage you to face everything and rise. That has been such a game changer for me. So thank you for being here with me. I would love to hear about your progress in your own journeys. And day 2 is wrapped, and I will meet you again for day 3 tomorrow. Have a blessed day. Namaste.